You talked a little bit about the three-point shooting and kind of getting that consistent. What are you guys doing in practice to maybe work on that, or is it just a matter of, hey, these guys got to just shoot in the games and hope they start landing some?
Well, I mean, we shoot hundreds of them, and then when we practice, we shoot a bunch of them. You know, we've got 5 guys on our squad right now that are shooting in the 20 percentages, 200 percentile, which is not dazzling anybody, you know. And overall as a team, if you look at our percentage at roughly a third, 33%, still when you do the, the real field goal percentage, those are 50 percenters. So it's not the end of the world, but we've got to get a lot more from 5 guys. You can look on the stat sheet and see the 5 guys that are shooting in the 20s, 2 of our power forwards and 3 of our guards. And, if we can get clicking, as I've said before, it's not a team where we want to go out and start the game shooting threes. I think we've established a post presence with a few guys. And if we can start hitting the open ones and start taking wiser shots at better times, I think it can be a deadly combination for us offensively. But I'm not as worried about our offense. We're doing what you're supposed to do. You shoot a bunch of them. You practice what you're not doing a good job of. And right now for us, I think we've got to really sharpen the saw when it comes to the defensive end and get some things worked out. This could be a favorable week for us, having 4 practices. We haven't had that kind of stretch before. So we've got to fix a few things that are broken from a defensive mindset. And I truly believe we've got some guys on our team that are probably thinking a lot more about offense than they should be. And my understanding of this karma, dharma, and my associations with the basketball is if your mind's not on the right things in terms of getting down and guarding somebody and having your priorities in place, then a lot of times the basketball jumps up and bites you in the butt, and you end up shooting 20%. So if we get back to thinking about what's really important and moving the ball and taking good shots and not complicating things, I think that's going to help our offensive field goal percentage.
Seems like Kyle in the first couple games, especially at home, is really taking a step up. What have you kind of seen over the off season and into the early part of the season? Why he's made such a difference in his game?
Well, he's put a lot of work in. He's addressed the weight room situation. He's addressed some deficiencies as a defender. Continues to make improvement in it. And I think it really kind of starts in the day and age of 700 plus kids transferring when a season's over, because things aren't just rosy and perfect for him. He was the guy that came into my office last spring and said, hey, it wasn't a very enjoyable rookie or freshman season, but I'm willing to buy in and do whatever you need me to do. And we laid out a list of things for him to do, and he's done them and puts a lot of work in. He's one of our better rebounders. He's one of our better passers. And he's got some confidence when he plays at home, and now we've got to make sure he's taking that out on the road show with us, because we've got a number of games coming up, in a foreign environment that he's got to be better, and hopefully with some experience as a sophomore now is going to start taking advantage of some of those opportunities.
Larry, can you expound a little bit? You talked about Baker and Van Vliet being around forever. I mean, I think Baker's one of those guys people see and they think he's still playing. And you talked earlier in the season about having leverage and tailoring guys on your team that guys around the league are wondering if they're still around. Is there getting to be more of a trend of these guys sticking around for 4 years and playing, do you think? And
I don't necessarily think it's more of a trend. I think it's refreshing. First off, you have to get freshmen that are good enough to play, and if they're playing as freshmen, it's a heck of a bonus, I think, for you as a coach in a program to get guys that run through that process. And, not everybody's running off to NBA markets and, finding program guys. I think those guys, whether they're on Wichita State or the guys you mentioned on our team, are what I would define as program guys that can really change a program, take you to the next level, and then hopefully help in the recruiting of future guys and kind of show that blueprint works. So it's, I think it's a bonus when it can happen. I think it's just maybe a coincidence with our two teams, but it's also a reason I think that Wichita and Utah would be considered a decent team this year, is because we've got some senior leadership.
Having a full week of practice to dedicate to Wichita State, does that change the mentality at all? Is that particularly helpful as opposed to sort of having a 2-game turnaround from a midweek game?
Well, I think you have, probably a throttle speed, percentage of your throttle or RPMs that you maybe have it written in the back of your mind at the top of your practice sheet. Obviously, if you have a game in a day, you'd be pounding guys and working on blockouts and taking charges and doing those kind of things. When you've got a little bit further time before you have to play, I've got it in the back of my head: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday practice, and we're going to have a couple practices this week where we're going full throttle, and we've got to accomplish some things. We've got to get a lot better. So, I think what happens when you have 4 days to practice is you can probably dedicate 2 of those completely to your own team and not be caught up in what the next opponent has to offer. When you're playing games 2 days apart or 3 days apart, it's hard to take that day where you say, hey guys, this day is just for us. We got to fix some of the things internally, because you've always in the back of your mind got that next opponent in mind. I'd like to tackle today and tomorrow and fix a bunch of things that are broken within the Utah program, and then have Wednesday and Thursday more specifically on the court to taper into some of what Wichita brings to the table. So I think from that point of view, it can be a little bit more training camp mentality and expecting our guys. And I told them Saturday afternoon when they left the gym that they better get ready for a little different intensity type of practice, because we've got to pump it up here a little bit moving forward.